Well, we're now joined in studio by Mugwena Maluleke, who's the General Secretary of the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
You're welcome, and thanks for having us indeed.
All right, so the results will come out today and tomorrow, and as much as the focus will be on the students and the class of 2019, it is also a reflection on the work that much of your teachers have done in the past year. What's your feeling about the challenges and getting the students across the line?
Well, I agree with you that the focus will also be on what the teachers have done, because indeed for us to be able to produce quality, we depend on the quality of our teachers in terms of their training, in terms of the support that they have. So the challenges that we have met over the year 2019, which was violence in our schools, that has impacted on the the psychological stability of our schools, and obviously the lack of psychosocial services that is still really a problem in South Africa, where one social worker is facing 79,000 learners to be able to have.
Wow.
So those are some of the challenges that are there. However, we must be able to say we are expecting some improvement in the overall pass, as well as the quality in terms of the exemptions, which is what SADTU is more concerned about. Yeah.
How difficult is it being a matric teacher in South Africa at the moment?
It's difficult because then you need to abandon your family and spend a lot of time from in the morning, and then in the afternoon, in the evening, you have got to have extra classes. But over the weekend, from Friday to Sunday, you've got to sleep at school in preparing these particular learners. So it's very, very difficult. But also faced with the drugs that are easily accessible to our learners, it is also impacting on the health of our teachers, especially those who are teaching matric, because they've got to do the work that might have not been covered during grade 11 and grade 10 due to a number of reasons. Whether it is psychosocial problems that our learners are experiencing in our society.
What assistance are you getting? Because it's not just a question of coming to school and teaching anymore. Sometimes you're worried for your own safety, because all kinds of gang activities are happening, drugs, as you said, are floating through the system. What kind of support are teachers getting? Is it enough?
Well, in some communities, the support is really commendable. For example, I always say that in Diepsloot, where you would have expected that because of socio-economic problems that are facing that particular community, you would not have the support. But the schools there have got the parents who take their learners at 5 o'clock every evening to school together with the teachers. So that support by the parents is very, very important. The support by the district is what is still lacking, because some of the provinces don't have the subject advisors, they don't have remedial centers, and that support is very, very critical. So yeah, in some provinces like Western Cape and Gauteng and in the Free State, that support is there.
So one of the issues that keeps coming up every year, and the Premier of Gauteng, the Education MEC for Gauteng, has listed for the first time the retention rate. And I just wonder, as teachers, because you teach them, you see them coming in at grade 1, and over the years you see them disappearing out of the system. From being at the coalface, what do you see as the reason why a lot of these children never get to grade 12?
Well, our society is facing a number of social problems. And one of the things that when you have got a child-headed family, there's likelihood that that learner is not going to complete matric. Because one of the things is that the learner has got to look after the other younger siblings, and therefore has to drop out of school. The other issue is that when we don't give the children the foundation at the level of the 4-year, 5 years in grade R, and therefore grade 9, that's now a challenging period for them, because they shall have not been able to master skills that are generally applicable in terms of language, in terms of numeracy, and so forth. So those are some of the things that are really causing the dropout in there. The teachers are doing their best. However, we need to work with the Department of Social Development in order to provide this psychological support.
And the schools are differently resourced. It depends where you are in the country, rural, urban, province. And I just wonder, are you finding that some of your teachers have to do more than just teach?
The teachers are doing more than that, because when it comes to the issues of social problems that they are faced with, for example, if you go to Harankua, where you are faced with almost 65% of the learners in the classroom sleeping.
Wow.
Because they've taken nyaupe. So what the teachers do for the better part of the day is to help the learners through, counseling them, encouraging them, and some of the parents are not there to give the support. So the teacher is going to step in and become a parent. In certain instances where the violence is really rife in our communities, the teachers will serve as police, but as well as nurses, because when a learner is being stabbed in there, you've got to step in as a teacher. So they do more than what they are supposed to be doing.
So the other problem, your better teachers, the talented teachers, constantly getting poached by the private school system. How are you managing that to make sure that the public schools keep getting fed good teachers and that you retain them in the public system?
Well, we have seen in the last year where the department has agreed with us that what we have been fighting for, which you known as 0.5, which was meant basically to encourage good teachers to stay in the system, because then apart from general increases, this really helps and really serves as an incentive for the teachers to stay. That is one of the reasons that is there. We have got to improve the benefits, one in terms of medical aid, in terms of housing, and we are making progress around that so that at least we can retain the best teachers in our schools. And this is something that the private schools might not provide, and therefore that will serve as an incentive for the teachers to be retained in the public schooling system.
All right, we ran out of time, but I can't let you go without you perhaps commenting on the other side, unfortunately, is that we have some teachers who don't show up for work, show up drunk, sometimes late, and also some that are harassing girls at schools. What have you been doing as a union to try and address this?
Well, let me start with the last one, which really the organization feel very strong about it. Teachers having sexual relationship with our own children in our schools. That is what we abhor. It will never be condoned, and therefore, as said, we take a stand. That's why we signed a collective agreement single-handedly as the union and the Department of Education to ensure that some of those particular teachers, once they've been reported, there is no bribe during the hearing, which was happening, and therefore there's no running away from the system until you are being dealt with, so that we can rid our profession of such people. Those who come drunk to schools, really they don't belong to this profession. We are parents. That's why we're local parents, and therefore you've got to be exemplary as a teacher. You've got to work hard. That's why we have got a day that we call SADTU Friday. Every first Friday of the month, you wear your regalia proudly and say, one, I'm going to be acting professionally. I'm not going to be engaged with my learner in a sexual relationship, and I'm going to be prepared and act professional. So that's what we are doing, and we are going to be continue to be training our principal, training our teachers to ensure that these drunkenness, drugs in our schools, and these unprofessional conduct that we so abhor as an organization must stop.
And are you happy that teachers are not beating children in class? Is that being dealt with?
That is being dealt with. We're working together with COSAS, that their call for them to retaliate has caused problems, and they have realized that, so that we are then saying no corporal punishment. We need to help our learners. We need to work with our parents. We need to work with our communities, and therefore to stop violence against our children, because it's unacceptable.
All right, Mr. Maluleke, we're going to have to leave it there, but congratulations to your teachers for getting another grade 20, the class of 2019 across the line, and we certainly wish you the best of luck with the class of 2020.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much indeed.